Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today is October 24th, 2024, and welcome to the Newburgh meeting of the regular meeting of the Board of Education. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Letitia Politi. Roll call.
Ms. Christine Bello.
Here.
Ms. Thomasina Bello. Here. Ms. Mackenzie Boucher. Ms. Victoria Boucher.
Here.
Mr. Bergarelli.
Here.
Mr. Duray.
Present.
Mr. Howard.
Here.
Ms. Politi.
Here.
Mr. Stewart.
Here.
So I'll turn it over now to the Superintendent, Dr. Manning Campbell.
Good evening. Welcome, everyone. So nice to see you all tonight. Thank you for joining us. Tonight, we have a special presentation highlighting our celebrations during Hispanic Heritage Month. Dr. Chastity Martinez Morales, our Director of Language Acquisition, is here to present about our schools.
Good evening, Madam President, board members, Dr. Manning Campbell. We are here tonight to share some of the activities that took place around our school district during the Hispanic Heritage Month, as well as to highlight some of our Hispanic students doing wonderful things in our school district and continue to represent us and make us proud even after graduation. Hispanic Heritage Month is an annual celebration. Next slide. Hispanic Heritage Month is an annual celebration of the history and culture of the U.S., Latin, and Hispanic communities. The event, which spans from September 15 to October 15, commemorates how these communities have influenced and contributed to American society at large. The timing of Hispanic Heritage Month coincides with the Independence Day celebrations of several Latin American nations. September 15 was chosen as the kickoff day because it coincides with the Independence Day celebrations of 5 Central American countries: Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. You can see their flags up there. Also followed by Mexico on September 16 and Chile on September 18. Hispanic Heritage Month actually began as a week-long celebration when it was first introduced in 1968. Until 1989, when President George H.W. Bush became the first president to declare the 31-day period from September 15 to October 15 as National Hispanic Heritage Month. Next slide. As you can see in our school district data, almost 60% of our students are Hispanics. The Hispanic Heritage Month is now celebrated nationwide, especially in school districts. And the Newburgh Enlarged City School District is not the exception. Although we Hispanics celebrate our culture and traditions all year round, on the Hispanic Heritage Month, we make it a little bit extra special. Next slide. We had many different events across our school district. In our elementary schools, our celebrations included students' presentations from dances representing different Latin American countries, research projects, celebrations where parents brought food and dress representing their country. School activities included daily morning announcements where students share interesting facts about the Hispanic culture or important events. Some schools had guest readers that included administrators, faculty, staff, and community members. And in some schools, these guest readers also included high school students who went to read to elementary students. We also have potlucks with food representing different countries. Next slide, please. At Banville, for example, students created posters and student work was displayed throughout the building. During morning announcements, Banville did the Pledge of Allegiance in Spanish and also highlighted inspirational quotes from Hispanic leaders. The school also hosted guest readers. This evening, we have with us 2 students from Banville, Ms. Ortiz E&L class, and they will be sharing their Hispanic Heritage Month poster with us. We have Nicolás Santana and Daniela Herrera Flores. Would you please stand? State your name and show your poster. Okay. Go ahead. Wait, how do I talk? You just get a little closer and you can speak.
My name is Nicholas Saldana. I am a student at Bama Elementary School. I created a Hispanic Heritage Month poster in Mrs. Ortiz E&L class. My family is from Mexico, but I live here in the United States with my parents and my sister. Traditional foods from Mexico include tacos, tamales, and pozole. Tamales are made with corn and filled with meat, beans, or cheese. Here is a picture. Pozole is a soup made with meat, seafood, and vegetables. Here is a picture. However, my favorite food is tacos because it has many toppings like meat and cheese. A special tradition from Mexico is Three Kings Day. This is the day the 3 kings or wise men visit baby Jesus and give him gifts and praise him. On that day, my family and I buy bread. We break the bread, and if we get a baby, it means good luck. In conclusion, this is my Hispanic Month poster. Thank you.
My name is Daniela Herrera. I am a student at Bombville Elementary School. I created a Hispanic Heritage Month poster in Ms. Ortiz's E&L class. My family is from Honduras and Dominican Republic, but I live here in the United States with my parents and my brother. Traditional foods from Honduras and Dominican Republic include pollo guisado, tamales, and baleadas. Pollo guisado is a chicken stew made with potatoes, carrots, and olives. Here's a picture. Tamales are made with corn dough and filled with chicken and potatoes. Here's a picture. Baleadas are flour tortillas and can be filled with mashed beans, crema, avocados, and queso fresco. Here's a picture. However, my favorite food is pollo guisado because it's tasty. A special tradition from my countries are parades with pomponeras and Nochebuena, which is Christmas Eve. There's a parade with pomponeras. It's a parade with cheerleaders that cheerleaders sing a song about Honduras, and we celebrate our country on Nochebuena. We invite family and open gifts at midnight. In conclusion, this is my Hispanic Heritage Month poster. Thank you.
Next slide, please. At Fostertown, they had guest readers. several dates throughout the month with books written by Hispanic authors, including yours truly. In the second grade dual language class, we read a story called Plátanos Go With Everything. And I brought some fried green plantains, o tostones, as we call them, and also some ripe fried plantains, or maduros, for everyone in the class to taste, because as the author says, plátanos go with everything, especially with love. The school's digital board highlighted Hispanic legends throughout the month. Students and staff wore positive Spanish phrases, Latin American country flag colors, and also their favorite Hispanic sports team. The month-long celebration culminated with a daytime dance and music event for all students with a salsa dance instructor, and also with an evening event called Salsa con Salsa Night, where students and their families enjoy some salsa lessons by the dance instructor. Can we please play the clip?
Nice and slow. We have tap number 1, tap number 2, and then I step for number 3. And then I do it with my left foot. We're going to tap 5, we're going to tap 6, and then I'm going to step 7, and then I can go back into my basic that you already know.
Next clip, please. This is from the evening.
3, 5, 6, basic again. We have 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Right turn leads with that left arm. 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Basic. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Right turn again. We have 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. How we do?
Thank you. Next slide, please. At Garnertown, there were daily announcements highlighting Hispanic legends and interesting facts. Their celebrations included a morning assembly, and we can see here Mr. Dutton grooving. And there were also activities throughout the day that included music, family classroom visits, Google Meet with a professional Honduran soccer player, cultural dress-up day, and guest readers. Some of these readers included our NFA high school students. Next slide, please. At Gitney Avenue School, they had a school-wide assembly with special dance presentations. Students performed cultural dances to their parents, and parents also brought food representing their countries. It was a packed house. GAM students also showcased their performances at NFA North during their Hispanic Heritage Celebration. Also, thanks to our students from GAMS for the beautiful artwork on the wall. These include Zapotec rugs, papel picado, Aztec songs, Mexican mirrors, and sugar skulls. Next slide, please. The pre-K program at GAMS, they share weekly quotes with a focus on Hispanic heritage. Their bulletin boards were filled with pictures of student work learning about Hispanic heritage culture, classroom activities that included a read aloud day, Hispanic dance during movement breaks, visual tours of Spanish-speaking countries, and they also held a potluck they called Dish Up and Share, which was a Spanish food tasting for staff. Next slide, please. At Horizons, they made school-wide daily morning announcements, had classroom activities and bulletin boards displaying student work. They also had a Hispanic Heritage Pride, I Am a Team Player Sports Day. Next slide, please. At Meadow Hill, they share weekly quotes about Hispanic heritage. Their bulletin boards were filled with pictures of students and their work while learning about Hispanic heritage culture. And they held an evening school community event where community organization members of the community, parents, students, and staff learn about resources in the community, as well as enjoying all the wonderful displays of student work set up all around the room. A special thanks to Meadow Hill students as they let us borrow their student work display in the room tonight. Another very special activity Meadow Hill School did was they collected family recipes throughout the school, and they created their very own family recipe book that was distributed at their evening assembly. And we also have some copies by their date of the dead table, and you're welcome to grab a copy if you like. We also have a few students with us tonight from Meadow Hill School who would like to share with you a little bit about their experiences during the activities that occur throughout the Hispanic Heritage Month. We have Madeline Sanchez, Ashley Ortega, and Gabriela Lázaro.
You go first. Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Gabriela Lazaro. Creating my project for Hispanic Heritage Night was an enlightening experience, especially since we had the opportunity to teach the community how to dance bachata. My research on Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez was particularly inspirational, learning about her journey, especially how she advocated for others after being separated from her parents by ICE. It showed me the importance of standing up for those who are treated unfairly. Her courage in helping others deeply resonated with me, especially as I rely on my own parents for support.
Hello everyone, my name is Madeline Sanchez and my experience during Hispanic Heritage Night was really enjoyable, especially because we had the chance to teach the community how to dance bachata. Working on my research project was truly inspirational. I focused on the corridor artists who motivated me to pursue my goals. This project meant a lot to me and gave me a strong sense of motivation and empowerment.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Ashley Ortega. Working on my research project was truly inspiring, as I focused on the well-known and successful artist Jennifer Lopez. It was also a lot of fun because we had the chance to teach the community how to dance bachata. I really enjoyed creating my project and participating in the event, as it's important to celebrate and share our culture with others.
And also a special thanks to Ms. Morel, who worked with the students in the beautiful displays and worked in putting the evening event together. Next slide, please. At New Windsor School, they held an assembly celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month with community members as guest speakers, including City of Newburgh Council member and Newburgh alumni Giselle Martinez. Next slide, please. At Temple Hill Academy, they had daily announcements celebrating important Hispanic figures in history. They also held their ENL parent event where students were recognized for their progress and hard work in learning the language. A special thanks to our musicians tonight. The wonderful music you heard as you came in was played by our music band from Temple Hill, Mr. Dion Plasencia, and the students Zoe Vargas, Irvin Ponce, Nevea McDaniel, Abigail Negron, Alice Castillo, Logan Nunez, and Jeremiah Boykin. Next slide, please. At Velsgate STEAM Academy, teachers throughout the month participated in classroom cultural celebrations. Students research and share information on influential individuals from various Hispanic cultures. Students wore authentic clothing and indulged in some Spanish food. And families were invited to join students in the learning celebrations. Next slide, please. At the secondary level, we also had many different events that included student presentations from different dances, poems recited in both English and Spanish, expositions of research projects, parent events, daily morning announcements about interesting facts, and some classes research influential Hispanics throughout history. Next slide, please. At Heritage Middle School, during daily announcements, students and faculty shared daily interesting facts about the Hispanic culture, history, and traditions that were educational, informative, relevant, and interesting. Spanish music was also played during student arrival. Students created flags, sugar skulls, and other heritage-related items for display throughout the school. And they also created their own presentation to share with us tonight about some of the facts that were shared during morning announcements. Tonight, we have a few students from Heritage Middle School who will share these facts, and they also came with Ms. Flores, one of their assistant principals. And I miss, yes, Dr. Brancard is here too with the students. Next slide, please. No, it's there. I just did the new one. Yeah. Okay. Wait. Wait till it's ready. They're putting up the presentation. Okay. I'll tell you when.
Hello, everyone. At Heritage wait. There you go. Hello, everybody. At Heritage Middle School, we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month by providing interesting educational facts about the Hispanic community. This included data, fun facts, and even highlighted some key figures. Every student volunteered to participate in the Did You Know to share the facts with the school community. My name is Dylan Oseguera, and I'm in 6th grade. I celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month because my family is from Honduras and Mexico. My favorite thing of being Hispanic are the celebrations. I love attending quinceañeras because they're fun, entertaining, and cultural. For those of you that don't know, quinceañeras are traditional coming-of-age parties for young girls. Boys typically participate by being chambelanes. Chambelanes are friends of the quinceañera who participate in the court similar to participating into a wedding. Here are 2 more facts. Did you know that more than 55% of New York students' population identify as Hispanic, Latino, Latina, or Latins? Well, now you know. Another interesting fact is that Spanish is the official language of 21 countries and the second most spoken language in the U.S. I celebrated Hispanic Heritage Month at my school by participating in student presentations. My classes and I shared our backgrounds with each other. Then we had a celebration. We brought different foods from our culture to share with the whole class. Thank you for your time.
Hello, everyone. My name is Surya Charles. I'm in.
All right, go ahead.
Sorry. Hello everyone. My name is Genesis Aguirre Diaz, and I'm in the 8th grade. I celebrate Hispanic heritage because my family is Honduras y El Salvador. To celebrate Hispanic heritage in art, we made sugar skulls to honor Mexican culture and the Day of the Deaf. Did you know that at least 4 times a year in Yolo, Honduras, it rains fish? You heard me. In Yolo, Honduras, in Yolo, Honduras, it rains fish. Well, now you know. This even scientist. Okay. Did you know that Spanish is the second most spoken language in the United States? Well, now you know. Good night, Goldbacks. Buenas noches.
Hello, everyone. My name is Surya Charles. I'm in the 7th grade, and I celebrate Hispanic heritage because my dad is Puerto Rican. My favorite things about Puerto Rican culture are that I have a large family, and my dad cooks authentic Puerto Rican dishes like rice, beans, and pastelón. My favorite dishes plantains, sweet plantains. Everyone should celebrate Hispanic heritage because it is important to celebrate and learn about other cultures. Here are some facts about Hispanic culture. Have any of you wondered why Hispanic heritage is celebrated between September 15th and October 15th? Originally, it was Hispanic Heritage Week, but it was expanded to an entire month. The celebration begins in the middle of September to coincide with the Independence Day of several Latin American countries. Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, and Nicaragua and Costa Rica celebrate theirs on September 15th, and Mexico celebrates their independence on September 16th. Chile on September 18th, and Belize on September 21st. The word fin is a Latin root word that means end or limit. Here are some other words that come from Latin root word fin: final, finish, and finale. The concludes of presentation. We hope you learned something new tonight. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Thank you, Heritage Middle School. Next slide, please. At South Middle School, there were many classroom activities, research projects, and celebrations. And the month ended with an evening family event that included dances, poem recitals, and food to enjoy. Tonight, we have an 8th grader from South Middle School, Diana Solano Capellan, who is a newcomer, and she was one of the master of ceremony for the night. And she also read a poem in both English and Spanish. She will share a little bit about her school experience in her short time at South Middle School, and she will also read her poem.
Good evening, board members and administrators. My name is Diana Solano, and I am an 8th grade student at South Middle School. And I am proudly from the Dominican Republic, and I am a bilingual English and Spanish speaker. And one interesting fact about me is that I would like to attend at Harvard University and become an aerospace engineer. Thank you. When I first moved here 3 months ago, along with my family, I was expecting to start living the American dream. It didn't take me long to realize that in this country, not everything is easy for Latin American people for reasons that we all know. One of the main difficulties is the language barrier because not all of us know English well to secure a job when we first come here. If we all know about modern history or information about different American countries, we will know that most of the countries in the Caribbean and South America are third world countries. This means that our education is not as good as in Europe, Asia, or the United States. I can say it myself because I lived there and in the Dominican Republic, where public schools are not good enough compared to the kind of public schools here in the U.S. I am grateful that my parents were able to pay for private school in the Dominican Republic. For this reason, I had the opportunity to learn English in a short amount of time, thanks to all my good English teachers that I had in the past. Improving my English took me less time because of all the practice I had with my family and friends who already knew English. Because of my ability to learn quickly, I was able to improve my English before I came here, which opened many doors for me, especially in school and getting new friends who just speak English. At this moment, I'm taking all my classes in English, but thanks to my teachers, most of them know Spanish and are very patient. I have support when I struggle with any work in this language. They come after me with a big smile on their face to help me with anything I need. Because of all the support I am receiving from my teachers, I am really glad to be in this school district as my first ever school in the United States. I am learning so many new things from the people who truly care about our education. Now I'm going to recite a poem named I Am, inspired by the author George Ella, that I recite in our past Hispanic Heritage Month celebration. We live in the United States. We speak Spanish. We are Dominicans and Venezuelans. We are Salvadorans and Puerto Ricans. We are Colombians and Ecuadorians. We are Guatemalans and Peruvians. We are Cubans and Mexicans. We are Americans with Hispanic roots, and much more we say with pride, the name that unites us. Spanish in the language, Hispanic in the culture, Latin or Spaniards, always with pride from our Hispanic heritage.
Thank you. Thank you. I promise you that we prepare this presentation to be a lot shorter, but we Hispanics take longer. I am so sorry. Next slide, please. At NFA Maine, they had a student assembly on October 15 that had to be postponed due to the early dismissal, but that assembly is now scheduled for this coming Monday, October 28, and we welcome you to attend. Tonight, we have one of the students who will perform at that assembly, but before that, tonight we have two 2024 Newburgh graduates who were invited to be part of a SEAL Biliteracy student panel at the state conference of the Office of Bilingual Education and World Languages called Voices United, Advancing the Civil Rights of English Language Learners and Building Pathways to Multilingualism. Dulce Flores, who now attends SUNY New Paltz, majoring in biology, and also Neftali Hidalgo, attending John Jay College, majoring in criminology.
Good morning, everybody. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Neftali Hidalgo. I am currently a student at John Jay College of Criminal Justice in New York City. I am majoring in criminology, and I'm a 2024 graduate here at NFA Maine.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dulce Flores. I am a 2024 graduate from NFA Maine. I am now attending SUNY New Paltz as a biology major, hoping to pursue a career in the medical field.
I would like to thank Ms. Van Reyes and Dr. Martinez Morales for giving us the opportunity of letting me and Dulce go to the, what was it? The conference, yeah, the Voices United conference as panelists with 3 other students. Since we received our seal of biliteracy, I received my seal of biliteracy in Spanish.
I also received my seal of biliteracy in Spanish.
And so we got to see and meet some of like the important people. Yes. What were their names? Dr. Barry Rosa. And like, what was the other guy's name? I'm sorry, I don't remember their names.
We also met with Elisa Alvarez, the Assistant Commissioner of Bilingual Education.
What's the guy's name? That like the United States. Okay. Well, yeah, we got we got to be there today at Fordham University, and got to also see the statistics of what the seal of biliteracy does to other students here in the United States, and how we can better improve our education for the seal of biliteracy.
I would also like to thank Dr. Martinez Morales and La Señora Van Reyes for giving us this opportunity to experience and to hear from other students who have also earned their seals in different languages, how it has impacted their lives and how it continues to impact their lives in everyday life. I would like to tell some stuff, I guess. For me, the seal of biliteracy has and still continues to help me in many ways, as much as it does to help me to help others. It's a language that opens up new doors and lets you understand people on a deeper level, and I think that's very important. And I am very grateful that we had the support system in the district to help us get to that level, to help us achieve that special certification for us. So I would like just to thank you, Dr. Morales, y usted, Señora Van Reyes. Thank you for all your support throughout the years. I love you so much.
And now for a treat, we have Diosmeri Rodriguez, and she's going to sing to us Preciosa by Mark
Bear with me, everyone. Yo sé lo que son los encantos de mi Borinquen hermosa, por eso la quiero yo tanto, por siempre la llamaré preciosa. Yo sé de sus hembras rigueñas, sé del olor de sus rosas, por eso a mi tierra riqueña por siempre la llamaré preciosa. Isla del Caribe, isla del Caribe, Borinquen. Preciosa te llaman los bardos que cantan tu historia. No importa el tirano detrás de con negra maldad. Preciosa será sin banderas, sin aros ni gloria. Oh, preciosa, preciosa te llaman los hijos de la libertad. Preciosa te llevo dentro, muy dentro de mi corazón. Y mientras más pasa el tiempo, en ti se vuelca mi amor. Porque ahora es que comprendo, porque ahora es que comprendo que aunque pase lo que pase, yo seré puertorriqueño. Yo seré puertorriqueño por donde quiera que ande. Porque lo llevo en la sangre por herencia de mis padres. Y con orgullo repito, yo te quiero, Puerto Rico. Yo te quiero, Puerto Rico. Y por eso es que me nace hoy dedicar este canto. Gracias Nobel y Barito Rafael y a mi isla del encanto. Yo te quiero, Puerto Rico. Yo te quiero, Puerto Rico.
Next slide, please. Two more, I promise. At NFA North, Mr. Harvey hosted his 11th Hispanic Heritage Potluck. NFA North students visited students at GAMS and shared their country projects with elementary students. In turn, GAMS students visited NFA North and presented their student performances to NFA North students, faculty, and staff during their Hispanic Heritage Assembly. Okay. Tonight, we also have an NFA North senior who participated in Pride Light, which is Puerto Rican Hispanic Youth Leadership Institute, last year as a junior, and who also was accepted again this year to be a Hudson Valley delegate at the, that student was accepted at the MAC Assembly weekend at the Capitol in Albany last year. And this year, she applied and was accepted again to be part of this wonderful leadership training opportunity. Angie Ludena Carrasco, please come up to the podium. Next slide, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Angela Dena, and I'm a student at NFA North, and I participated in PRILI. So, PRILI stands for Puerto Rican Hispanic Youth Leadership Institute. Basically, PRILI's focus is to teach Hispanic students, Puerto Rican students, and Latino students about civic engagement and also leadership. Me and my friends, both from NFA North and NFA Maine, attended this conference and this training. It was 8 meetings, and we had a monthly meeting. These are some of the points that I wanted to explain today, and it will be really quick. Exploring new connections. So PRILI help us grow as a person, grow as individuals, as citizens, and understand our responsibilities. But they also provide us with new connections and friendships that last forever. I also went to this conference with our 2024 graduates, and I met so many people that have the same interests as me, that have the same Latino background, and you can see it in these pictures. I also got to know more about my culture and my language. I understood that there are some people that speak only Spanish, some people speak only English, some people speak both. At PRILI, everyone is welcome. Everyone who wants to learn more about the Latino and Hispanic culture is welcome, and they can participate on this. And these are some pictures of my PRILI experience. These are some of the workshops that we did, some pictures of our friends, and also we went to the Albany, to the New York State Capitol, and we have a picture of us debating both in the Republican side or Democratic side. And I'm really excited to go again this year. Yes. Thank you.
So they are selected to go to the weekend assembly based on the leadership and the organization they display throughout the program for the year. So they find out around February if they were selected or not. So I know Angie is going again, right, Angie? Yes. Thank you. Next slide. At NFA West, they celebrated National Hispanic Heritage Month during their Friday weekly morning meeting. Students learn about the Latino culture through food, music, and the celebration of Latino flags through a flag parade. Students also participated in a big picture learning program, Pick Me Up, large group activity. Each advisory had to guess the Spanish food recipe by tasting Spanish rice that was prepared by Ms. De Jesus from our food service department. In addition, during lunch periods, students learned different Spanish dances like salsa, bachata, and cumbia, taught by students at NFA West. And lastly, NFA West student and business owner, 10th grade student Madison Francis, brought in a 360 machine to help celebrate music and dance fun. Next slide, please. Our family and community engagement team also celebrated our Hispanic families district-wide. They held a family and community event honoring our families and students, their stories, and their cultures. The event included food, lots of food. Fun activities, dressed to celebrate and represent your country, and or show your pride and bring your country's flag. And parents also had an opportunity to learn about resources, programs, and services for students and families in our community. We hope you enjoy our presentation about Hispanic Heritage Month culture and traditions, as well as hearing from some of our students. Celebrating our students' and families' culture is part of a culturally responsive and affirming welcome environment. And here in Newburgh, we just don't do it on a specific designated month because we here in Newburgh celebrate, next slide please, every go back, every day.
That was absolutely phenomenal.
6, basic again.
Was that a cue for me? Dr. Martinez, scholars, graduates, thank you. Our dedicated teachers, thank you for pouring in. Our families, thank you for helping us. Thank you for your partnership and your collaboration. Look at the product of our work together. How incredible was that? I don't know how I think we should just end. We need to end on a high note. That was spectacular. Good job, everyone. Thank you for your leadership.
Howard.
Thank you, Madam President. I would just like to say I'm so proud to be a part of a district that celebrates our diversity, our culture, the cultures that we share in our districts, and so many of the great things that were done throughout the district to celebrate the Hispanic Heritage Month. But one thing I like to say, I thank NFA West for not putting in my picture of trying to learn the bachata. I was praying as you were going through the pictures. I said, please, God, don't let that picture be up there. But on a very serious note, I want to share something that happened to me on Friday. I went to the Family and Community Engagement event over at the Armory. Incredible event put on by our Family and Community Engagement team. But I want to share something with everyone. And I hope that we can do better, and I know we will. But imagine this. As I'm sitting in the audience, the person up on the microphone, he was talking in Spanish. He went through a whole paragraph or two, and everybody was clapping and shaking hands, but I was sitting there, and I didn't know a word. I didn't understand a word what he was saying. And then I reflected what we have in our district with the influx of immigrants coming into our district, into our communities, and we have children sitting in our classrooms, sitting and cannot understand the teachers that are standing in front of them. And it really hit me, because I sat there and I'm scratching my head like, what is he saying? And now I reflected that back to children who are sitting in our classrooms. And Madam Superintendent, I know we're working on that, and board members, please, let's make this a priority for us, because it's not fair to the children, it's not fair to the process, and I really, really understood at that moment how those kids feel.
Thank you for raising that. I know that the meeting, not the last one, Trustee Ms. V. Boucher made the same recommendation. She talked about the pre-K classes having multilingual learners in the classroom, and we really need to ensure that we are supporting all of our learners at a very early age, because we know that the foundation is where we need to capture and to build upon. So we share the sentiments, and it will be our collective priority. Thank you.
And thank you for bringing up that point, Mr. Howard. And I know that Dr. Manning and I, definitely if there's a need in that area, I think several weeks ago we brought the board's attention, and you approved and supported positions that will help our multilingual learners, and we appreciate that.
Thank you. Each October, districts across the state take a moment to recognize the efforts of their school board. Trustees volunteer their time to support the educational mission and vision of our district. We appreciate your efforts and look forward to working together professionally in the best interest of our scholars. We have a small token of our appreciation as a display of our thanks for your commitment to every goal back every day. Thank you. You're welcome. As a community, we all have concerns and questions surrounding our literacy program, instruction, and student growth. As a part of these questions, it is important that we educate our community about the new research, state expectations, and steps we are taking as a leadership team. Tonight, Dr. Shannon O'Grady, our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, Elementary, Dr. Natasha Freeman-Mack, our Assistant Superintendent for Equity and Access, and Ms. Afia Rawlings, our Director of Exceptional Learners, will deliver a second presentation in our Leading for Literacy series.
Thank you. All right, cool. It's you.
Good evening. We're back. So as we talk about the literacy briefs, this is part 2. We actually were going to do 3 sessions. We've increased that to 4. Yes, clap for that. We're going to do 4 sessions. Yeah. We wanted to break down each area and make sure that we are moving a little slower and that we are being very succinct and creating a really deep level of understanding. So with that said, let's get right back into it. My mind is all over the place with a few things, but I'm gonna get to it. Okay. All righty. I don't know. Yeah. So just to refresh and remind, and the first 2 slides are just gonna do that, and then I'm gonna try to be quiet. The first 2 slides, with this slide, we're looking again at the literacy briefs. And last week, we talked about briefs 1, 2, and 3. Tonight, we are going to focus on brief 4. Brief 4 just focuses on pre-K. That is it. So that is all we will talk about this evening is pre-K. And that's important to know. So this session tonight is all about pre-K. That said, I just want to remind you about the science of reading because every single time we meet, we're going to talk about how we're focusing on debunking those myths because there just have been so many misconceptions. So we're just going to go back and go over them real quick. The first myth is the myth is that the science of reading refers to one instructional approach. It is a tangible program or curriculum. It needs to be understood that curriculum lends itself to the standards in New York State. A resource is a resource. Curriculum are the standards. A lot of people don't really understand or know what that means, but that's what curriculum is. A resource is ARC. A resource can be, oh, dare I say it, the reading and writing workshop. A resource is HMH, but the curriculum are these standards for New York State. Standards, what are the standards? You have science standards, math standards, ELA standards. Did I say math? Social studies. Those are the standards. They're K-12. K-12. Tonight we're going to focus on pre-K, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But that's what curriculum is, the standards. The other thing is that the science of reading is 50 years of research. It is not a curriculum. It is a resource of information, but it is not a program. The second thing we want to clearly explain is that also the science of reading is an effective study of curriculum and various approaches that match goals and target skills that are appropriate to support the standards across every single content area, and it is a continuum. The other thing that needs to be understood is that the science of reading, the myth is that it demonstrates that effective early literacy instruction is limited to promoting the acquisition of code-based skills, specifically phonics and decoding. It's not. That's not what the science of reading is. And Dr. O'Grady will really discuss that tonight as she dives into what pre-K is and what our instruction looks like in the classroom. And I'm looking around the room and I'm in awe because around this room, there is a truly great and incredible example of culturally responsive teaching. It is immersed in every single aspect of this room right now. As we look at the skulls in the back and the significance of them, as you look at these projects that the students have completed, as they've studied and researched and talked about and shared with their peers about Hispanic heritage, this is all culturally responsive teaching, and that is embedded within the science of reading. So those are the things that we want to continue to look at as we dive into the science of reading, and those are the things that are important. I will now turn things over to Ms. Sophia Rollins. Oh, sorry. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. O'Grady. Is this the right one?
Come back.
Let me see.
I got you.
Where did I go?
I got you.
Oh, Lord.
There we go. No, go back. You're going the wrong way.
I know, but I did go back. Clicker's having a mind of its own.
There we go. There we go.
Is that the right one?
That's it.
All right. Do you want me to click for you?
I'm going to give my colleague a break because we had a tough act to follow. I mean, how are we following that, right? And you don't want to hear me sing. So, in any language, by the way. Good evening, everyone. As you may recall from our last board presentation, we talked a little bit about the Big Six. You may recall the Big Six is oral language, phonemic awareness, phonics, vocabulary, fluency, and comprehension. Each of these is interdependent, and deficiencies in one of these competencies impacts our overall ability to read. So I'd like you to indulge me tonight in thinking about the Big Six through an unusual word. Maybe a word that you know, but a word that I didn't know until a few days ago. Where's the clicker? There we go. Take a look at that word. I'd never seen this word before or heard of this word. Right. So now I'm going to use my phonemic awareness skills, my phonics skills, and my oral language skills to read and say that word. Well, not really to read that word, actually, because reading is making meaning, right? But I'm going to decode that word. Sabermetrician. Sabermetrician. I said the word, but is it relevant? I used my oral language, I used my phonics, and I used my phonemic awareness, but I have no idea what the relevance of that word is. So now I'm going to take what I know about vocabulary, one of the four of the Big Six, right? And I'm going to look at that word, and when I look at that word, I see the ending. I see shun, C-I-A-N. And that reminds me of politician, musician, physician. Are you going through your shin words like I am? And I'm thinking, well, a politician is someone who specializes in politics, right? So maybe a sabermetrician is someone who specializes in something. So now I know that it's a noun because maybe it's a person. That's a pretty good guess. And now I'm looking at it and I see metry in there. And metry reminds me of the metric system. And from my vocabulary in my Latin, I know that metry means to count or to measure. So I think it's using four of the Big Six, someone who specializes in counting or measuring, but it's saber that's throwing me off. Saber, I'm thinking about Star Wars, lightsaber, right? Or a saber-toothed tiger. So my guess is I think it's someone who specializes in maybe measuring or counting swords. I used four of the Big Six, and I'm wrong. So what do we do when we get peppered with, do you know what this word means? What's the first thing we say? Use it in a sentence, right? So now I'm going to use it in a sentence. And I think Mr. McCoy knows the meaning of this word for some reason. A skilled sabermetrician analyzing the 2024 season might have argued that both the Yankees and the Mets had solid statistical chances of winning the World Series, depending on key performances like batting average and on-base percentage. I'm going to read that again. A skilled sabermetrician analyzing the 2024 season might have argued that both the Yankees and the Mets had solid statistical chances of winning the 2024 World Series. So now I've applied my comprehension skills. Now I've applied all six of the Big Six, and I can make meaning, and I can infer that a sabermetrician had nothing to do with swords. It's a person who specializes in the statistical analysis of baseball. But I needed all six to figure that out. And now that I know what it means, it's relevant, and I can make an informed opinion, which is that the sabermetricians had it all wrong, and now I'm stuck rooting for the Yankees. Now, I'm making light of it, but it's a really serious issue, because in order for us to give each of our goalbacks the opportunity that they deserve to participate in a democratic society, they need access to literacy. They need access to the Big Six. It's a moral imperative.
There we go. Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. Thank you to the board president, to the superintendent, senior staff. I appreciate the opportunity. I want us to just stop and think for a second. If we're in a classroom, I would say close your eyes for a second. And think about being in a pre-K classroom. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? Don't touch me. There's crying, there's little boogers around, but it's a busy, busy place, and it's truly intentional. And part of the brief around pre-K just talks about what pre-K looks and feels like. And one of the things that I really feel in a pre-K classroom is joy. Having a kindergarten myself, you walk into the classroom, if there are tears or anything negative, there's still joy. And that's one of the key cornerstones of pre-K. We want kids to begin their journey as a learner with joy, to enjoy learning, to enjoy school, to enjoy books. And that's one of the concrete things that we want kids to take away to build literacy skills, because we're not able to build those skills K through 12 if kids don't like it. And the brief kind of outlines that very specifically. You'll see interactive read-alouds. In our classrooms across the district, we have our rugs, rainbow rugs, weather rugs, number rugs, whatever kind of rugs that we like. Our students are sitting around and really digesting texts. Some of these are favorites, some of these are classics, some of these are new books, with students who look like our students, with students who are from across the seas, and that's important. We'll see a lot of talking, a lot of miss, miss, miss. That's part of pre-K. We'll see a lot of people who are holding books, and sometimes I hear people say, you're not reading. They may be saying things and holding a book. That is a literacy skill, and that's what we want to see our kids doing. I saw a kindergartner one time reading a book, and I knew that book, and he was saying words that I knew was not in that book, but he was just so passionate about it that I just had to say, you did a good job. And I will say that that is reading. That is learning how to hold a book, learning that words go from left to right, learning how to turn a page. That is literacy skills, and that's what we want to see at the pre-K level. They may not be decoding the right sounds for the letter A or the letter B. They may not be wording whatever that word, what is it? I'm not going to say that. But they are readers, and they're learning to enjoy and digest books. Pre-K teachers are singers. They sing, they chant, they sing the weather, they sing the days of the week. That is part of building literacy. That's how we get kids to jump in. That's how we get kids to memorize things, learn things, and just become a part of the community. If you have a younger one at home, my daughter comes home and she sings a lot. I don't want to hear it at 5 or 6 o'clock, but she sings a lot because she hears these songs and she remembers it and she's singing and she knows her letters of the week. And we're doing it every day, her days of the week, and I think it's important. And I know it's important because that's what we have in our pre-K classes that's transferring home and that's building those literacy skills. And they're working together. They're learning to share, they're learning to grab, and sometimes learning not to grab things that they shouldn't. So these are the things that the briefs have set as a foundation for pre-K years. And then they kind of shift to really formalizing what that means. Some of it sounds really fancy, but it's pretty simple. She went to the last one. We're wrapping up. Sorry.
That's where you're at.
No, do line 1. It's okay. One more. So in the briefs, there are themes, and they call the themes through lines. So the first theme that we see are high impact practices. Simply stating that's the what. This is what you want to do to get kids to the big 6. This is what you want to do to make sure that we are giving kids the best chance possible to become readers and to become literate. And they break it down into some dense words, but it really touches on everything that you just visualized in a pre-K classroom. The first one is text-based discussions and writing opportunities. Kids are talking about text. While they may not be writing essays, they may be drawing pictures about text. A lot of times in pre-K classes, you may see a kindergarten teacher go around a rug and say, what was your favorite part of the book? And they'll write it out. That is writing skills at the pre-K level. They are engaging in high-level, high-interest, diverse, complex texts. One of the things that we have done as a district is to make sure that across the district you'll see lots of books. We see diverse books, books connected to curriculum, books connected to teachers who love certain books, and I think that's important for kids to see and have that in the environment and in the school setting. One of the cornerstones as well is teaching kids at the word and sound level. This is their introduction to seeing words, their introduction to seeing letters, and actually making sense of that. That's phonological awareness, phonics, spelling, and word study skills. The other part of that is fostering understanding of print, convention, and features. So that's similar to the example that I just gave in holding a book, understanding that words have sounds, words have meaning, and putting all that all together to understand that when we do all these things, there's words and a story that we have to understand. The other part is the collaborative and culminating projects and performances, similar to what we saw today. At the pre-K level, kids will bring home projects every day to put on your fridge. That is part of the learning process. That's their final. They will bring a picture of a rainbow because they read a book about a rainbow. They will bring home pictures of a Thanksgiving turkey because they may read about Thanksgiving turkeys. That is part of learning how to read and learning how to be literate. So it may be better seen on this side. The way that the brief kind of outlines these high impact practices is they put it in a chart that's really nice and friendly. And if you take a look at the chart, what you'll see is what's expected on a day-to-day, week by week, over the year. And if you'll notice, the middle is the highest area that we want to focus on at the pre-K level. And the middle is engagement with a variety of high interest, diverse, and complex texts. So we want kids to read, we want kids to see books, we want kids to hold books, we want books in the classroom, we want books at home. And these are things that we're doing already in our classrooms. If you look at the other four, they're kind of around the same area. Because at the end of pre-K, we don't have kids who are reading essays. We don't have kids who are reading full books. However, they're developing some of these things. Something that may be shocking is that phonological awareness, phonics, spelling, and word study is not the bulk of the time that we want to see in a pre-K classroom. It's actually one of the shortest amount of time because kids are just getting in, and we want to make sure that we are giving them the opportunity to enjoy that environment and be a learner and be ready to learn. You'll hear us say school readiness skills. We can't teach you the letter sound if you don't know how to sit and listen and participate in the activities. And pre-K teachers are gracious and calm, and they take these babies in from the beginning of the school year, and now as you walk through hallways, they're able to walk in a straight line. That is part of learning how to read, because if you can't get to your next class on time, you will not learn how to read. So these are the little things that I think are embedded in the briefs that are practical and that our teachers are really already are doing and understand well.
That way, right? There we go. Hello again, folks. So children are at the center of our work here in Newburgh. We know that, right? So sometimes these briefs are filled with a lot of academic-ese or jargon, so I'm going to break it down for us a little more simply. So through line 2 is centered around creating access. These are the enabling structures. So in plain terms, the structures we should see across all pre-K classrooms so that our children can learn to their potential, at their optimal potential. The first 4, curriculum, knowledge building units, culturally responsive practices, and progress monitoring are intertwined. So these are the resources that teachers are using to bring information to life. We should also see and hear, as my colleague was saying, protocols, routines, and purposeful play. So what does that mean? What does all of this look like and feel like and sound like in our classrooms in Newburgh? Well, I can tell you that we have a variety of research-based resources for our teachers to use. But I cannot overstate this. Our most valuable resource that we have here in Newburgh is our people, including, but not limited to, certainly not limited to, our aides, our teachers' assistants, and our teachers. I've been spending a great deal of time in classrooms, particularly pre-K classrooms, and I have to tell you, I am so optimistic. I really am. And teachers' assistants are some of the unsung heroes in our district. They are unzipping coats. They are helping students who might have had a bad morning. They're leading small group work. The other day, I was sitting with a teacher's assistant, and she had 4 students in front of her, and they were using bingo chips because the letter of the day was the capital letter E, and they were marking up the capital letter E in their bingo chips, and they were smiling, and there was joy, and routines and structures. Well, if you want to feel joy, go watch a morning meeting in a pre-K class where they're reviewing the calendar and the days of the week, and they're singing. Today is Thursday, October 24th. Yesterday was Wednesday, October 23rd. Things that are mundane to us. Our pre-K teachers in this district are bringing the mundane to life. They are making things joyful. You should see the morning meteorologist who runs to the window to check what the weather is. I mean, that's like the job to have in a pre-K, I'm telling you. And routines and procedures and protocols are in place. This week, we broke ground on the Newburgh Free Academy Career and Technical Education Center, and I have to tell you, I want to talk about purposeful play for a moment, because Albert Einstein said that play is the highest form of research. And folks, guess where we hear vocational talk? In our pre-K classes during purposeful play. When kids are collaborating to build a fortress with blocks. Construction. When students are maybe debating over what kind of pretend cake to bake in the kitchen. Culinary science. When they're organizing their sports cars and their trucks and their vans. The precursor to auto mechanics, right? So that's all so important. And we know that vocabulary acquisition does not start when students start to read and write. We know it starts long before then, right? And we have a variety of resources for our teachers to use. Now, I'm a little reticent to show this video because I'm afraid it won't stop. So these are some of the resources we have. But one of them we have here across our pre-K classrooms is Heggerty. So I'm going to try to show this video, and if I can't, we can show it at another time. Let's see. I don't know if it's going to work. All right.
Hello, friends. It's Mrs. Botari, and it is time to play our listening games. Today's words come from our Tuesday lesson of week 7. Let's start by saying our rhyming words. Say these rhyming words. Weed, need. Yes, weed, need rhyme. They have the same middle and ending sounds. Eed. Say.
Okay. That's all I really wanted to show you, because this is happening across pre-K classrooms, and it's a wonderful resource. So a teacher shared with me the other day that she gets a variety of learners in her class, like we do all across Newburgh, right? But that sometimes her 3-year-olds, they're not ready for this. And I said, but you seem to like it. And she said, I love it. She said, here's why I love it. I think of it like a beach ball. She said, you throw a beach ball at someone, bounces off their shoulder maybe, but it doesn't hurt them. So I'm exposing my students to Heggerty. And I keep throwing that beach ball. And maybe the first few times it's hitting them on the shoulder. But after a while, after repetition, they're going to start to catch that beach ball and throw it back. And eventually, they're going to catch that beach ball and throw it harder. Then they're going to start volleying that beach ball. And that's what Heggerty is for me, she said. I'm exposing my students, whether they're ready for it or not, to phonemic awareness. And I thought that was a really brilliant metaphor. And so it reminded me of the work here, that we have to teach our goldbacks to bump, set, and spike that beach ball. Have a good night.
So as a glimpse of what's to come, I think Ms. Dr. Freeman-Mac, broke it up well in saying that we're going to take it in bite-sized chunks. But as and I'll give you guys a little bit of a cheat sheet, as you see all of the briefs coming up, you'll notice this chart. It's placed up again and again. And what you'll notice is that some of the skills are the same. How it's done and the level is different, but the skills are the same. Our students, our goldbacks, are lifelong learners. They are learning to read from pre-K all the way to 12. And I think that's important for us to really highlight as part of understanding the literacy briefs and part of understanding how we bring this together in a cohesive model as a district. Thank you again for having me.
We have to stay here for questions, right? Afia is going to answer all the questions.
I was ready to go.
Trying to buy some time. I know that there are questions. I have to do one thing. We want to take a photo with the scholars in the back. So I just want to say one thing, and then we'll step away and come back really quickly. Thank you. That was phenomenal, this presentation. I want everyone in our community to know that we have a great partnership. Ms. Rawlings is a director for exceptional learners with the curriculum and instruction assistant superintendent and the equity and access assistant superintendent. It is important for us to ensure that all the scholars in the district are exposed to the same level of rigor. We have access points, and we want to make sure that the message is clear that just because a student is placed in a certain classroom in the district does not mean that they are not able to access important literacy and information. And this is very intentional to make sure that there's a partnership and collaboration in everything that we do. We know that all learners do not enter at the same space. You mentioned that, Dr. O'Grady. Whether they are regular ed, multilingual learners, whether they are exceptional learners, we want to make sure that we provide differentiated instruction, but access to curriculum and instruction, that as our learners transition throughout the district, throughout their literacy journey, that we're all teaching towards the same goal. We're mirroring the same curriculum and instruction, and we're ensuring that the standards are in place by every very different entry point. So thank you to you, and I know that there will be questions. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Usually, I know that it's been a while for the board, but usually we take a picture with the students that participate, and we neglected to do that. So if you could just give us a moment for us to gather. Dr. Martinez, I don't know, are you gathering for the picture? If you could bring them here, that would be great. We could do it really quickly so that we can have the picture with the board and Dr. Manning. This is usually what happens when we have student events, and we neglected to do that this evening. So we thank the parents who just gave us a little while before taking the students so we could take a picture. Thank you.
Getting on everybody's nerves. Yay.
Thank you guys so much.
Where's Victoria?
Questions?
Does anyone have any questions? Mr. Howard?
Thank you, Madam President. Awesome presentation, as usual. But I do have a question. And the superintendent, I guess she did brush on some of the answers, but I'm going to ask it because maybe you can add something to it. So one thing that we do understand is that when children come to the pre-K level, they don't all come from the same backgrounds. A lot of kids come having not been engaged from an early literacy perspective, and there's different levels when they come into the classroom. My question is this: understanding that you want to promote the rigor, but you also know you're going to have to deal with remediation, because a lot of kids, they say that there's almost a 7,000 word difference between children when they get to the pre-K level who were exposed to early literacy and those who weren't. So we know that's a gap. So I'm going to jump off the ledge here, and either I'm making up a word or I'm using the correct word. Edumatrician would probably predict that those children that come with that 7,000 word gap will be the ones that will be falling behind throughout their education careers, and some may not get across academy field because of that gap. What are we doing as a district to help those children? Because I understand there's a financial portion to that, because we have a classroom with a group of kids, 25 to 30 kids, a teacher, and how do you promote rigor and do remediation in the same space? Is that, I guess that's my question.
So I'm gonna answer some of it, and you can answer some too.
I trust you.
Me too. You. So one thing that we are doing, and we talked about it a little bit last time we were here, was Newburgh Basics. So with the relaunch of Newburgh Basics, and what Newburgh Basics is, it's partnering with St. Luke's, with Cornerstone, with parents, and supporting them with books for their newborn, creating classes like the one that we're getting ready to do in November called Little Rembrandts, both in English and Spanish, down at the library. And we'll be posting that, and we'll do this twice a month with our families and for our families, whether it's Little Rembrandts or providing yoga classes. We did something today, and I have something for all of you. We did a crock pot creations class for our families and their children, whether they are in school yet or not. We did that at GAMS, and we'll do another one at Horizons in November. And what's interesting about this is there's menus in here, there are recipes, so there is literacy and there is math. So I have a little gift I'm going to give to each one of you, but those are opportunities that we can create within the community to help us hopefully close some of that gap for some of our students that are not on level yet. And then as it relates to what we see in the classroom, I'm gonna let Dr. O'Grady answer that for you.
Afia, jump in whenever. So go ahead.
I just wanted to say first, I understand the difference in the households, and I understand that every child comes from a very different household. Can you hear? Yes. All right, I'm new. I think what needs to be really understood is that there are differences, not necessarily a deficit. What we really saw when we looked at the literacy briefs was that we are presenting all students with these opportunities for some of the things that you're saying. It is great that some homes have exposed students to that, but not every home does that, and it doesn't mean that it's a deficit. It means that it's a difference. There are homes that reading is not really at the cornerstone of the home, but other values are, and that is an asset to the classroom. There are homes where students are not talking as much, but other values are, and that is an asset to the classroom. I think what the literacy brief does at the pre-K level is it really gives everyone a level playing field where they have access to text, where they're engaging in text, which is why that was repeated over and over, because that is what you're saying needs to be at that pre-K level solidly. I also think that, like you're saying, language and things like that may be a difference based on where students come from, whether it be because of a different language that they speak or a cultural difference. And these are things that are embedded in the practices that we've discussed. We're teaching kids how we expect them to be in school and what we expect them to do to become lifelong learners and to become readers. So I think what this is starting at is how are we getting everyone coming from all of these backgrounds and all of these experiences to have a level playing field. With that said, because I have to put my special ed cap on, there are students who may need more. And we do identify that and provide special education services at an early level if there is a disability. But a difference is not a disability, and I think that that's really important to really carve out, especially coming from an immigrant background. I didn't have many books in my background, not because it wasn't available, but because there was more value placed on me learning how to do different things that wasn't necessarily looking at books or holding books. If I told my grandmother I was looking through a book and reading it without reading the words, she would tell me go do something else, right? Because that's the value that's in my home. So I do think we have to be careful how we articulate about our students and what their backgrounds bring. So I think that the learning differences are an asset in many ways, and we have to take a look at when there is a deficit and a disability and address that.
That was great.
And I apologize if I use the term deficit because it should have been differences, because I do understand that. And I understand that that big heavy lift is 0 to 4. And you did explain what happens when they get to us. I guess I was trying to laser in on the fact that the resources available to do that type of work when you're promoting rigor and dealing with remediation to bring kids up to speed. So I just thought you would speak to that, and thank you very much.
I hope I am not repeating something, but when you touched upon indicating that it is not a deficit, I think oftentimes when we look at students who do not speak English, we do see that as, that may pose a challenge. But I want us to start to think about that as being an asset, because if we think about the world and where we are, we need to look at how great it is to speak many different languages. And so we need to start looking at students who speak different languages as assets, not as a deficit, because, I've toyed with some Spanish, but I wish that I had kept going with that, because that is absolutely an asset and, as the world that we see that we're moving. So we need to really celebrate and hone in on those types of skills, the different languages that our scholars bring to us.
And just to further add to that, I know that when curriculum and instruction looks to buy resources, we look for resources that will build fluency and understanding in multiple language because of the population that we serve. So if we buy one resource that only serves one population, it actually limits us in our ability to grow literacy and fluency and decoding across our curriculum.
The other thing too, Mr. Howard, and I'm not sure if we answered the question because I wasn't listening because I was passing stuff out and I can't multitask anymore. But when we have a classroom and we've got students that are a little higher and some that may not be on the same level, we do use peer teaching. We do have small group instruction. And then we look at leveraging, if there's a student that's excelling and doing really well and partnering them. So you can have different groups of instruction going on in the classroom, doing some of the similar work, but at different levels to support those that are what we call high flyers and those that may be in the middle and those that haven't reached that yet. So we can support it in that manner as well.
That's the end. Okay, thank you very much.
Victoria.
I just wanted to make a comment because, as everybody now knows, I have a son in pre-K. And my sister could probably attest to this. I now wash my hands with the washing hands song. I catch myself at work because I'm like, oh, he's not here. And I have to say, we learned red and green choices, and that's something they taught on the first day. And I'll tell you, it resonated with my son. We're at home, and he'll say, "That's a red choice, Mom." And he recognizes it. Not that he follows it, but he knows that it's not the right thing. So I can attest that a lot of what you said, I already see, and it's only month 2 going into month 3. So I am very hopeful. I know that it's a huge district, and to service all these children is a task. And it's nice to see that pre-K is recognized, because I know a lot of people don't think it's recognized. So I appreciate you doing the presentation, and keep up the good work. So thank you.
I wasn't going to say this, but your son was in that small group I was talking about with the letter E. That was just, I was in all of the pre-K classes, and he was right there, and he was focused. He was making green choices.
Yeah, anywhere we go now, I now know the letter of the week. So E was this week, so he saw every E we could find, on cars, on signs, at home. So it's working, yeah.
Thank you.
Right. Thanks again. At the last meeting in my absence, Ms. Bello misrepresented a collaborative discussion surrounding planning and meeting times. I want to provide the community and the board with the context of this conversation and the recommendations that Ms. Peterson and I shared with Ms. Bello and Ms. Boucher during this meeting. I do recognize that members of the Board of Education have limited schedules and availability. I thank them for their time and service. At that meeting, I reviewed ways in which new board members with limited schedules could participate in student events, schedule building walkthroughs, and recommendations on how the Board of Ed committee chairs can schedule the meetings. Board of Ed committee meetings and times are set by the chair of the committee, not the board president and not the superintendent. But the board president should provide guidance to committee chairs to establish those meetings. In our conversations, I reiterated that it is important for the operations of the district to be taken into account when scheduling these meetings. Board of Education committee meetings are business meetings that benefit from and often rely on participation from teachers, administrators, and sometimes our fantastic students to participate. We do recognize that no time will be perfect for everyone who wants to be involved, but the good news is that there are plenty of opportunities at various times of day and night, so everyone who wishes to be involved in our district has the opportunity to do so in some capacity. We also reviewed how the prior board organized the committee meetings. I did reiterate that starting all committee meetings at 7 p.m. would not be conducive to collaboration. I feel it is important to correct the disinformation that was shared. I feel it is necessary to reiterate my willingness to work collaboratively with our board, as demonstrated by providing multiple options to assist Ms. Bello in her role of running the committees. I also feel that it is necessary to remind the board that I have successfully worked collaboratively with 3 previous board presidents in my role here as superintendent. I would like to close my remarks by celebrating the groundbreaking milestone for our career and technical education building. This project was resurrected under my leadership with the leadership of Ms. Roaring. We are excited about this new chapter in the history of the Newburgh and Large City School District and look forward to the opportunities it will provide for our scholars and community as a whole. Thank you all very much. That concludes my items for this evening. Thank you.
So we're going to move.
Can I make one comment, please? Just to reiterate what Dr. Manning said, you know, we watch this, and you know, we have a responsibility as a board member. I think overall to champion our schools and champion our administrators, our teachers, and I think I'll direct this at you as the board president. You are in charge of championing the district. And I don't see that going on. What I see is going on is emails and a constant flow of really what comes down to is kind of like gotcha sort of questions. You know, be it I need information on this finance or what happened here, really some of the minutia. But really what you're watching tonight, this is the school district. You know, we watch kids perform, just saw I've learned more about reading in the last 2 meetings than I've learned my entire life in terms, and I do have a vested interest because I have a grandson in the district. He's 8-year-old, and fortunately, he's a great reader, but I can see why he's a great reader. He's at Vales Gate, and it's a wonderful school. So I'm having such a difficult time communicating this, but I'm going to go back to yesterday. Yesterday, I would say this century was probably the most significant day that's ever had for this school district. There was a groundbreaking ceremony, probably within a mile of here, for a new school. We actually were having conversations on site as to who can remember when a new school was built in Orange County. And the closest we can come to was Cornwall, somewheres in the early 2000s or late 1990s. This was a big event. The event happened 1.5 miles from where you work. This was a perfect chance to go out and show leadership, and yet it was kind of lonely. You know, we had a couple of board members, understanding many of the board members cannot get away. But as I mentioned to you 2 weeks ago, when you applied for the job, there's responsibilities that come with the job. And one of those responsibilities is to be out front with the community. And I think we failed in that yesterday. I didn't fail, you failed. In being out there yesterday to lead the district. You could have been out there making a speech. That building's going to be out there long after we're gone. And it was just really a great opportunity, and I think you missed it. So I'll conclude with that.
I appreciate your comments, Mr. DeRay. However, not all of us work bankers' hours or just have the freedom to walk away from our livelihood. I certainly don't. So, midday. And as far as the questions go, I celebrate our district. I really do. I believe our district has tremendous potential. I want that potential to be unleashed. The problem is, we are also, as board members, we are charged with oversight and accountability. And if we ask a question, we shouldn't, be criticized for asking a question. We need certain questions answered to do our job, and we shouldn't be ridiculed for it. So I do appreciate your comments.
Well, I'm not done then. That is part of our job, is asking those questions. And you do that very well. You ask a lot of questions. But the other part of the job's not getting done. Once again, yesterday, you should have been there. And now you're saying, I can't be there. So you're choosing which part of the job you want to do, which is asking a lot of questions about our finances. Hey, we spend $1 million a day here. It's tough to keep up with the finances. So you can't, as I told you a couple weeks ago, you can't choose which parts of the job you want to do, but that's exactly what you're doing. I choose to ask questions. But if there's an opening for a school, I find it difficult to believe. I run a business too, by the way, and Mr. Levenstein was there yesterday, and he runs his own business. So I find it difficult to believe, with 45 days' notice, a mile from where you work, that you can't find in 1 hour, that's how we did it, to be in front of the district. You can keep selling, I'm not buying.
That's fine, but not all of us, like I say, have the freedom to just walk away from our livelihood. We have other obligations and commitments, and especially in my business, I could walk in the morning and think I have nothing on the schedule and suddenly have a funeral that I have to do, which is time sensitive. I owe a commitment to my customers as well. So I don't have that freedom to just say, yes, I'll be there, or no, I won't.
And you should have thought about that before you applied for the job.
Order, please. I can't. Can we move on, please?
Okay. Okay, we're going to move on to public comment on agenda items. I just want to,
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion that we move non-agenda up behind agenda.
okay, can I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher?
Yes.
Ms. Victoria Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Duray?
Yeah.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart? Yes. Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes. Okay. When called to speak, please state your name and municipality of residence. You will have 5 minutes to speak. We ask that you address your concerns to the board as a whole and not to individual board members. All speakers and observers must conduct themselves in a civil manner. Obscene language, defamatory statements, threats of violence, statements advocating racial, religious, or other forms of prejudice will not be tolerated. You cannot mention names of any individual board members, members of staff, or students of the district, and we reserve the right to remove you from the podium and the meeting if you fail to comply. Thank you.
You have nobody signed up for agenda items, ma'am.
Okay. Moving on to non-agenda items.
First person signed up to speak on non-agenda items is Ms. Dawn Fuchek.
Dawn Fuchek, Town of Newburgh. I'm excited to have been here tonight and to see tonight's focus on students. Very happy to see that. Also happy to witness our students and see what they have learned, what they know, and what they can do. And I'm especially happy to see our administration sharing what we're doing to address literacy in our district. This past weekend, I had the opportunity to attend the New York State School Boards Association Annual Conference. This conference provides a wealth of information and is a time for school board members and superintendents to receive professional development and also build their relationship as a governance team. Some of the many topics presented were a Board Officers Academy, chronic absenteeism and strategies to address it, AI and its role in student success, communication, building trust and transparency, school safety, student mental health issues, the power of positive board and superintendent relation, just to name a few. I saw that our superintendent and one of your board members also attended the conference. I wish that more of you were able to avail yourselves to this amazing opportunity for learning and growing, keeping in mind that NYSBA does offer this as many other conferences and workshops virtually for those of you with schedules that don't allow you to attend in person. Effective school boards are focused on student achievement and improving student outcomes, and they commit their time to their own professional development as board members and as a governance team. One of the workshops I attended spoke to the purpose of a school districts. Why do school districts exist, they asked. There, of course, were many answers, but basically the response was that school districts exist to improve student outcomes. Then they shared that 50% of a school board meeting should be spent addressing improving student outcomes. So I asked this board to ponder this. How much of your agenda at each meeting is focused on improving student outcomes? I also had the opportunity to attend the groundbreaking ceremony for the new CTE building yesterday. There were many people in attendance, the superintendent and her administration from NFA, teachers, students, CSEA members, NTA leadership, NSAA leadership, CSEA leadership, many local leaders and politicians, labor union leaders, construction workers working on the project, construction management team, architects, and several former board members, but only 2 of the current board members were in attendance. What we do clearly shows what we value, not what we say. This was a day of celebration, not only for the school district, but for the entire community. This building will bring exceptional academic opportunities for our scholars, and I believe will be a beacon of light in this community. As our superintendent said at the ceremony, and I quote, "In this new setting, our students will be able to focus their academics and develop their professional skills. We also know that our scholars deserve to feel worthy of a world-class facility to learn and grow as scholars and the future leaders in their respective industries. This new building will be a place where our children are exposed to possibilities and where curiosity is nurtured, creativity flourishes, and innovation is encouraged. This new facility is a perfect example of what can happen when a district, a school board, and a community work collaboratively and are focused and committed to doing what's right for the children and to putting things in place that increase student achievement and improve student outcomes. Let's have this entire board committed to doing the same. Thank you.
The next person signed up to speak is Ms. Sade Burks.
Good evening. My name is Sade Burks, a resident of the city of Newburgh. I just wanted to speak on actually an agenda item, but I didn't sign up on the thing, so I'm going to speak about it now. I think it was 2.2, the literacy. I really enjoyed the presentation as a pre-K TA assistant. I just really enjoyed hearing about all of the work that we do, that people think that we don't do, especially when it comes to reading. Because again, as Ms. Rollins stated and Mrs. O'Grady stated, reading is in everything that we do with the kids. They're reading maps of the classroom everywhere they're going. They're putting their toys away. They're reading because they're looking at the box and the picture on the box, and they're matching it with the picture on the shelf. They're reading their names because their names is plastered all over the room. When we call them to the rug, they're reading their names on the rug. And then after a few weeks, you pull up that tape on the rug and you know they've read their name because now they know where they sit at. They're reading their name on their paperwork. They're writing the name. I am a TA in a pre-K class, and one of the students at my table wrote her whole name today. I only thought she could write her A. And when she wrote her whole name, I was very excited for her. This is the work that we do as pre-K teachers. No, I am not a pre-K assistant teacher within the district, but this is the work that you pre-K teachers are putting into your children. From 0 to 5 years old, a child's brain is 85 to 90% developed by 5 years old. So the most important part of literacy is between 0 and 5 years old. So as a pre-K teacher, I'm not even in the district, but it would hurt me to constantly hear from board members and other people about how the reading levels of this district and about how we're failing this district when I know the work that pre-K TAs and pre-K teachers put in. I think that you guys should show a little more respect and give them their flowers while they are here, because we put in the work to teach these children to read. Also, you just stated, well, I'm not gonna say you, because I don't want, to be set down. But before you called everyone up to speak, you gave a whole list of what was not allowed to be done. We cannot call out names, we cannot curse, we cannot bring in religion, we cannot call out certain board members. I have been mindful to respect these rules for the last few board meetings that I have been up here. Have I been shown the same respect by community members? No. Are those community members called out? No, I've had a community member call my name. There's been community members that have come up and given threats to the board members, such as people are watching and there will be consequences to your decisions. That is a threat. We have community members came up and referenced people as dogs. We've had a community member called out my whole last name. The gavel wasn't banged on any of those community members. And it's unfortunate to say that none of them were Black. So I would have to call you out on racial discrimination. Is this the board that we have leading our children? Thank you.
There's no one else signed up, ma'am.
Does anyone else have any comments? Okay. Mr. Howard.
Thank you, Madam President. I would just take this moment to say yesterday was such an important day. I know it's been spoken by individuals, but I want to speak from my perspective. Being a lifelong resident of the city of Newburgh, attending elementary, junior high, not middle school, that tells you how old I am, junior high and high school in this district, and understanding that the newest buildings in our district were open when I was in 3rd grade, over 55 years ago. That's the newest buildings that we have in this district, and that was the Hills. Temple Middle Hill opened in 1970. 54 years later, we put shovels in the ground yesterday for a new building in this district, and it made me so proud, so excited, and just so happy for our scholars. Our scholars will be able to attend classes in a state-of-the-art building. As I travel throughout Orange County and different parts of the state, and I see new facilities at school in school districts, I got jealous over the years. I really did. And I can honestly say, yesterday was a very proud moment for me personally, because I know what's about to happen with our kids. And to hear all the information and the excitement from the politicians, the excitement from the trade unions, and then it was just an incredible day. It really was. I left there yesterday, and I was elated. I was on the phone calling other districts, some of the board members I met at NISBA, bragging about we're going to have state-of-the-art facilities here, and just wait till 2026. And I was bragging. I really was. I really was. And I was calling some of my old schoolmates who went to school with me at South Junior High School, New Windsor School, Montgomery Street School, Grand Street School. People don't even know that existed. That's how old I am. But and they're living in different parts of the country now, and they were elated for us. So I just want to say congratulations to everybody that had a part in that, the board members, the current board members, the former board members, the former administration, the teachers, the students, the scholars, the family, and the community, because the community is important because they voted on the budget. They voted on allowing us to have the money to go forward with this expedition. And I just got to say, I was so happy, proud, and elated. Congratulations to us all.
Okay, at this point, we are going to move to executive session. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby recesses into executive session for the following purpose: employment history of employees of or corporations, collective bargaining under the Taylor Law, NTA, litigations, Butler Construction Group, Inc., v. Newburgh, ECSD, index number EF 005078-2024, J.C. Doe versus Newburgh, ECSD et al., index number EF 001776-2021M, Doe versus Newburgh, ECSD et al., index number EF 005710-2021, and to obtain advice from legal counsel. Can I have a motion?
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher?
Yes.
Ms. Victoria Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Mr. DeRay?
Yes.
Mr. Howard? Yes. Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart? Yes. Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Matthew, our Clerk of the Board.
Thank you, Madam President. Of the approval of the minutes from the October 8th board meeting.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A roll call?
Ms. Thomasina Bello? Yes. Ms. Mackenzie Boucher?
Yes.
Victoria Boucher? Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Howard? Yes. Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart? Yes. Christine Bello?
Yes.
I'd like to thank Clerk Pro Tem Mary Ellen Weimer for filling in for that meeting, and that concludes my items, Madam President.
Thank you. Onyx, would you like to make your little announcement?
There's a couple announcements we want to just let everyone know. So tomorrow is Pink Day. So if you are going to be on campus, everyone on campus is going to be wearing pink to raise awareness of breast cancer. So please, if you can, if you're around town or thinking about us, please wear pink. Also, the district is going to be having a trunk or treat event on Tuesday, October 28th, and not 29th. See, I'm gonna get the date right. Dr. Freeman Mack's not here. I'm making sure that that also gets done. Or if you would like to participate by donating, please drop it off at the board office so we can have that for our students. Thank you.
Okay. So moving on to the board president, we have item 6.1, resolution to approve the timing of financial reports. Can I have a motion? And a second?
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Howard?
Thank you, Madam President. So I read this resolution, and I have a couple questions. First question. This situation, well, let me back up. We have a claim, every July, we vote as a board on a slew of individuals that are working for the district. Two of those individuals are the claims adjuster and the deputy claims adjuster. Can somebody tell me what their responsibilities are in regards to this resolution, in regards to this request? Is this work that they do, and is this work readily available to the board members without a resolution? Could someone speak to that?
Ms. Roy?
So the board designates the claims auditor every July, and that person is charged with reviewing every single claim and approving that claim prior to claim being processed by the business office. They function wholly separately from the business office. They have no relationship with us at all. They have no reporting structure to us at all. Their reporting structure is directly to the board. The board receives the monthly claims auditor report that tells you of any findings and the corrections so that you know what's going on in their review of the work.
So in essence, we already have this information available to us.
You have the report from the claims auditor, yes, that tells you how many claims are processed, what the issues were, and we go from there.
Okay.
Mr. Stewart?
Yeah, I looked at some of the claims auditors' reports, like I was looking at August 8th, 2023. There was 602 warrants, and it looks like she only went through 17 and found 17 errors. Now, does she go through all the warrants, or does she just pick some out at random?
The claims auditor reviews every single claim. Some of the members may recall when I got here, we looked at the claims auditor's work and we made some recommended tightening procedures. And one of those was that work now be done in our financial software rather than being done on paper. If she does not review every single claim for each of the funds in our financial software, we cannot process that payment. So if she goes through and she says, no check number is issued, no payment is processed. If she reviews it and she says, yes, it has met all the criterion, then we are able to go ahead and in the warrant, we are able to assign a check number and we are able to process that payment. She's the ultimate authority on whether a payment is made.
Mr. Howard?
So would this be a duplicitous request?
Mr. Stewart?
I don't think it's a duplicitous request. I like numbers, so I like looking at the numbers and matching them up. And I see it in previous board meetings under the audit and finance committees. I see the checks written out, and I like to match them up to the budget. So, and I find mistakes too, like I found mistakes in the original budget. Hopefully I can find mistakes to help the district. And the other thing is, you know, we were talking earlier in the year about doing a, what's that audit, outside audit, forensic audit. You know, if we look at the numbers and the board members agree, everything looks good, we can go to the voters with confidence. I say, I found nothing. I think it's good. Let's move forward. So all I would like to do is look at the checks, match it up, confirm what the claim auditor does. I like looking at numbers, and that's it.
Ms. Roy?
So this person is a direct report to the board. If the board would like to meet with the claims auditor, you can certainly schedule such an opportunity to do that. You would be responsible for providing that individual with any sort of annual review as well. We do not do that. I would note that the district has gone through external audits for the last, dating back to 2018-19, with 0 findings. We have had to prepare no corrective action plan, which means everything is fine.
Oh, Ms. Peterson?
I also just want to also note and that every expenditure goes through the claims auditor. And I think that operationally, I can't tell you the amount of business that this district does. If for whatever reason, things do not get approved, or if there's a question from the board, whatever protocols or procedures we ask of the claim order, we want to make sure that it's conducive to the workflow of the district. So I think that it's a good idea for everyone to sit with a claim auditor, find out what she does, have any questions. We will be more than happy to answer it. But we also just caution about some of the volume that we do as a district, whether that is purchasing supplies, purchasing materials, whether it's field trip, professional development. It is all tied back to our claims on our approval of those claims. So I understand and I appreciate the understanding that we're trying to gain around budget and to make sure that we're making fiscal, but we don't want to put the district in a position to slow down day-to-day function, because it will impact students.
Anyone else? So what Mr. DeRay?
Yes, for Mr. Roaring. So the claim auditor is our employee.
That is correct.
Okay. And we hire them to look at every single transaction and approve it.
That's correct. They look at not only the general fund, they look at the cafeteria fund, the library fund, the capital fund, our TA fund, where all of our deductions for payroll are processed out of. They review every single claim, including our extra classroom.
And if we wanted to see her work, we could request meeting with the claim auditor and reviewing these claims.
Yes, in previous districts, on a quarterly basis, the claims auditors come in and met with the audit committee if they wanted to have conversations or had any questions, have some more detailed discussion about the report that they receive every month. It's certainly something that you all have the right to do. She is your employee.
Okay, and to your knowledge, has anybody on the board requested to sit with the claims auditor this year?
No one's asked me to facilitate that, no.
Okay. So we have that avenue available to us, but no one has taken opportunity to do that?
Not through asking me to facilitate it, no.
Okay. Has anybody on the board met with the auditor? Okay.
Ms. Peterson?
So there was a request to review the audit functions. I want to be clear about that. I know that Mr. Stewart and Mrs. Mackenzie Boucher did ask to kind of review some of the functioning. So that request was made of us. We started with the last audit in finance with the external audit and how that was it the external?
It was the internal auditor who's preparing to come in and do the risk assessment.
Okay, thank you for that correction. So we started with the internal auditor, and this is something that certainly we can talk about in audit and finance if we want to go over that as well. So I want to make that clear that I did get that reach out.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but you're talking about a process. My question is, has anybody sat with the auditor and said, can you show me what you did last month or whatever period of time, what you've approved?
There was that question was asked. I'm going to be Mr. Stewart and Mackenzie Boucher did ask, but we had a couple of transitions. Mrs. Roing was out. We had business officials, and they did offer us to give us a little time before we made that happen, and we said that we would circle back to it.
Okay.
Certainly, but they are the two individuals that reached out and asked that question.
I'll just close out with, I'm not in favor of the resolution. I'm very much in favor of watching the finances, but we have internal auditors, external auditors, and our own employee who, I don't know, I guess if I had an employee and they're working as hard as they can, they're doing their job, and then I come in and say, let me check how you're doing your job, to recheck something that's been checked several times, that doesn't sit well with me. Because if we want to save money, then get rid of the auditor, and we'll just do it ourselves.
I would just like to ask, what exactly is involved in preparing a report such as this?
I could only speak in very broad terms about that, as I've never had a claims audit function as part of my duties. It would be an incompatible responsibility. The board's claims auditor policy speaks very specifically to what that person has to review on each claim, speaks very specifically to who is not allowed to be part of the claims audit process, and there's a corresponding exhibit that outlines all the things that she's looking at when she's doing her review. It's quite a list. She uses that as her check to go through each claim to make sure that all the information is correct, all the signatures are there, and then she uses that to do the tally for her report that she prepares for you each month.
Thank you. Ms. Boucher?
So I have a couple questions. In my opinion, I feel like this should go through the Audit and Finance Committee just because of the amount of work that goes into it. But my other question is, if it goes to the Audit and Finance Committee, there's no apprehension on handing over that documentation.
If the Audit and Finance Committee requested to see the detailed transactions that have already been approved by the claims auditor, they could do that. The claims auditor would be the one preparing that.
So I just want to ask, is the claims auditor here every single day?
No, the claims auditor comes in generally once a week, except each quarter when the district is required to pay reimbursement for Medicare. And then she comes in additional days because of the volume of the individual checks to each retiree to make sure that she has time to get through the two-step review process that she has to do on every claim. Those are treated separately. So in those quarters, she's usually here 5 or 6 days that month, but it's always at the end of the week.
Can you clarify if this is technically a policy change? Because the way it reads, it's saying that this has to be given to us with the second meeting of each month beginning in November. So I guess my question is there a way that we can motion to table this until the policy committee meets so that we can have further clarification on it? It just seems like a directive.
It is. And I think, I'm a little stunned to see it on a resolution without a conversation. It's not a policy. It is a request. It's a request for information that you are entitled to when you receive in some capacity through your own employee. So there's no need for it to be a resolution because I think I hear Mr. Stewart's ask, this is something that I need. I hear Mr. DeRay's, going through the process of it and everyone's understanding of it, and Mr. Howard's asking. And to your point, it's something that we do. So it's not anything that's extra. It's the work that we already do. And some of the work that occurs, some of it is sometimes confidential and not for the floor. So there are parts of it that perhaps we may not necessarily want to put out there with every single thing that we do. So we have to be really cautious and really have a better understanding of what we are asking for. And perhaps a discussion would have been more appropriate than a resolution. So I support what you're saying, Ms. Victoria Boucher. This should not be a resolution, it's work that we already do, and perhaps if there was a question or an ask, then that's something that we can certainly respond to. And I hope that this gives you a better understanding of why it raised some concern when I noticed it on the, as a resolution instead of a conversation.
Well, my first choice, most definitely, was to put this through the policy committee. I have an email that told me that the policy committee could only meet the day of a regular meeting. And then since we changed the time to 6:30, that meant we would have to meet at 5:30, which is an impossibility for me. So that is why, and I mean, we had decided over the summer on Thursdays, and we could meet the earliest, like 6 o'clock, if we had to on Thursday. But if that's not, I mean, I am, willing to bend. I can't, do all times. Oh.
Thank you, Madam President. Since it's an impossibility for you to meet earlier in the day, why don't we rearrange that committee then to people who are available at 5:30 to meet, if that's the case?
I choose to be on that committee.
The committee that doesn't meet because you can't be here at the time prescribed.
I'm sorry, Mr. Bugarelli, but at some point, you have to accommodate your board members. At this point, it's like I am the only one making concessions. And, not to mention, it is a public meeting. So it's an open public meeting. So do you want to really hold a committee meeting when most people are working?
Not everyone's working. People can watch online like they do all the time. Not that many people show up to committee meetings, honestly.
But you're still taking away their choice. If they choose, if they wanted to attend.
So the people who work at night who choose to attend can't because they're working at night. Who are you catering to? I think you're catering to your schedule. Like I said, if this is so important to you, let's talk about rearranging what committees and the times they meet then. It's, like I said, was said before, Mr. DeRay, you knew the requirements of the job before you took it.
There were no parameters on the job that you had to be unemployed, retired, out for some other reason, or work banker's hours. There were no parameters on that.
But you knew what times we met. And you knew what times activities happens in the district. We're going back and forth with this all the time.
That is
That's really what it
always
is.
subject to change, and anything can be changed.
Change for
but-
your convenience, not the convenience of the district, which is the whole point we're here. Convenience of the district, needs of the district, needs of the children.
Yes, and those children all have parents or guardians who pick up the tab for the district.
Yep, and I have two of them in
That's
this
right.
district.
So these people should also have meeting times that are convenient for them as well.
But this isn't about them, this is about your convenience, because we're not holding these meetings up because parents can't make it. These committees are not meeting because you can't make it.
Call the question, please.
Call the question.
I would like to make a motion a motion to table this until further discussion is had.
Can I have a second?
There's a call.
Okay. Roll call.
This is the roll call on 6.1. Ms. Mackenzie Boucher?
Yes.
Ms. Victoria Boucher?
No.
Mr. Bergarelli?
No.
Mr. DeRay?
No.
Mr. Howard?
No.
Ms. Politi?
No.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
That motion fails.
Okay, the next is 6.2, moving non-agenda public comment directly after comment on agenda items.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Point of order. This is just a discussion item. This is not a vote.
Oh.
There's no resolution on here. I mean, we can make one, but this is just a
Put a
discussion.
resolution. I would like to put a motion on the floor.
You would have to change the policy on public participation. So if there's a discussion and the parameters that you guys want to do that, we can bring the policy back, but the proper way to do it, if you're going to move that, would be to change the policy.
Okay, so let's just have a discussion on it then for now. Mr. Howard?
Yes, Madam President. So what policy specifically states that non-agenda items are supposed to be at the end of the meetings. Specifically states that.
Okay, I don't have the,
Madam, the clerk is looking at it right now.
12:30.
Could you read it, please?
Board of Education encourages public comment on school-related matters as outlined in this policy. To allow members of the public to address the board, 2 periods not to exceed 30 minutes will be set aside during the first and the last part of each board meeting.
Okay.
I would just like to say that that was a policy developed by the previous, last year's board. And I think it was an excellent policy, to be honest with you. So I think that it keeps people engaged, if they're staying throughout the meeting. And it, it contributes to more participation in the district business.
But it also keeps parents here to the end of the meeting who may have children at home, who could say what they need to say at the beginning, and if they choose to leave, they can leave, but they don't have to stay because they cannot speak until the end of the meeting. And to be perfectly honest with you, it would just force me to every meeting moving the item from the end to the top.
Well, see,
Ad nauseum, and it's starting to get ridiculous.
right, and that's exactly why I wanted the discussion on it, because Mr. Bugarelli had also mentioned that to me. We ought to just change it. But I did want to, let you know that there are definite advantages to it, and it, especially since we made the meetings earlier, if someone is out and thinks they're going to be a little bit late to the meeting, they're going to miss out completely on public comments, whereas, because there is no more comment at the end. The other thing is, what has bothered me so much is that we publicize the agenda as, the way, as it is, and then we immediately change it. And that, to me, is akin to false advertising. I mean, you publish the agenda, you should keep the agenda the way it is.
But the reason that I usually make that motion is at the request of attendees who don't want to stand in line waiting till 9:30, 10, 10:30, 11 o'clock to speak. Not me, I have to be here, but that was a suggestion from the audience, from people in the audience. Can we possibly speak earlier?
I understand. And so then we can maybe put this on the next meeting, for a vote. Okay? Oh, Mr. Teray?
Thank you. Just for a real-life example, we're right now in section 6, this is usually, if it was on the agenda, it would be 10, so it's 9:45. Do you realistically think people with families are going to sit till 10, 11 o'clock at night to speak for 5 minutes? I mean, that's just an unrealistic expectation.
We also had a 2-hour presentation or more.
We're going to have a lot of presentations. We have students. I like their presentations. I really do. And I think they should go before the public speaking and then the non-agenda items. That's the business we're in. We're in the business of students, not keeping people here till 11 o'clock at night so they could have their 5-minute speech, we all nod, and then they go home tired. That's not the purpose. So, not a fan of that.
Mackenzie?
So just to confirm, next meeting, it'll be a policy amendment to be voted on?
Mr. Stewart?
I say we just put it at the beginning of the meeting and move on. We had enough discussion on it. Put it, non-agenda, agenda items at the beginning of the meeting. Let's move on. Post it, people will see it.
Okay, and our next item is a discussion on cost savings For the CTE building, Mr. Stewart?
Yes, I know, I looked at the design and everything. It's got a nice flat roof. And I myself had had solar panels on my house for 10 years, and the cost savings is incredible. And I know I was speaking with John the other day about the advantages of having geothermal, and I looked into that. Once you go 10 feet in the ground, the Earth's temperature is about 55 degrees. So just the savings on that, and we know energy prices are going up. They're not going to be going down. So if we get a proposal for solar panels and maybe a proposal for the geothermal, see which is in the best interest of the school district. While the building is going up, we should do it now.
I'm a huge fan of geothermal. I think it's awesome, but we've already broken ground. I wonder, what kind of delays would this cost? What kind of additional monies would this cost? Oh, look, we got an expert over here. She wants to talk.
Ms. Furry?
So we have already secured SED approval, which is how we were able to go out to bid and start building this building. If we were to do a significant change to the HVAC plan, we would have to go back and get reapproval by SED Office of Facilities Planning. It would significantly impact the project timeline, and I don't see how we would be opening for the fall of 2026. We can look at solar panels. Prior to my arrival in the district, we did do an energy performance contract. As we get our building condition survey this year, I anticipate we're going to be looking at needing to do some additional work on a number of roofs in our district, which would prepare us to do something like that as we go forward. The advantage of the EPC is that it gives us the opportunity for guaranteed savings, which I think would be in our interest to look at that. So I appreciate that suggestion. That's something that we've been talking about, but we know we need to get some new roofs on some of our buildings to be able to continue to bring that out across the district.
Yeah, I definitely do not want to delay the building, and if it delays the building, I'm not for it, but thank you.
Mr. Dre?
Sure, thank you. Like Mr. Stewart, I'm kind of concerned about this too. I find it ironic. I think there was about 3 or 4 union members, union leaders that yesterday that spoke about the future of solar and how large it is. What a great opportunity. And yet we're building a building that doesn't have any sort of green energy that I'm aware of. I haven't looked at every single thing. So it may be too late to change, but I'll say concerned as to why a 21st century building is being built without that sort of technology in mind. So just a comment, but I did find it ironic yesterday that it was a huge topic.
I think some of that will be a part of the update. We can give you guys an update. It would be a privy conversation that we will have with you about to answer that question. And I know that there was some looking into geothermal, correct?
Right now, we have solar panels in 10 of the 14 schools. We have over 7,000 solar panels in our district. NFL alone have 1,400 solar panels. We have discussed getting solar panels for the new building. Of course, after the building is built, we don't have that number now. But we also considering geothermal for 2 schools. We had 2 schools that we used to have oil, and Ms. Roaring and I are working with NYSERDA, the state agency, to see if we can get a grant to do geothermal in 2 of our schools.
Can I add to that really briefly? We are working with CS Arch on looking at doing geothermal in 2 schools, Fostertown and Gardnertown, who, as Mr. Velez mentioned, are still on fuel oil. But that they have the capacity on the ground to be able to do something like that. And with our collaboration with the architect, we've been able to also identify some additional possible funding sources to couple with our capital project money to make this more affordable for the district as well.
Okay, so now I turn it over to the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, Ms. Leamer.
Thank you, Madam President. On the Human Resources agenda, we have items 6.1 through 6.13 for your consideration on consent.
Can I have a motion?
Okay. I have an old copy, sorry. 7.1. Yesterday it was 6.1. I apologize, it's 7.1 through 7.13, right? Does it end with 7.13?
Can I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Well, you need a motion first, no? Okay, does anyone want to separate any out? Okay, can I have a motion? Thank you.
Second.
And roll call? Oh, discussion? No discussion. Oh, okay.
All right.
Ms. Victoria Boucher? Mr. Bergarelli? Yes. Mr. Duray?
Yes.
Mr. Howard? Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher?
Yes.
Thank you, Madam President. That concludes my items.
And now I'll turn it over to the Assistant Superintendent of Finance.
I would just like to recognize, before I get to my items, that our new chief custodian is sitting in the audience this evening, and we would like to congratulate her for her long... Thank you. The Finance Division had items 8.1 to 8.12 for routine consent this evening.
Does anyone want to separate any out?
8.9.
I'm sorry?
8.9.
8.9. Anyone else? Okay. Can I have a motion for resolution 7.1? Oh, 8.1 through 8.12 minus 8.9.
So moved.
And a second? Roll call?
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Duray?
Yes.
Mr. Howard? Yes. Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher?
Yes.
Ms. Victoria Boucher?
Yes.
Resolution 8.9. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second? Discussion? Ms. Boucher?
So can you just explain, Ms. Roaring, like is this the end of the fiscal year surplus that was in each account that's going to a different account, or is it just money that we're moving around?
So we're moving money around because we need to align with our expenditures. So the district cannot present to the board a report that has any negative balances in that, so we need to be able to move funds around to cover that. This is a fiscal '24 because we are still in our closeout period.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes. Could you explain what ban principle is?
So a ban is a bond anticipation note, and the district paid down some of our ban that was issued for fiscal '24 and our reissuance for fiscal '25 to reduce our debt costs going forward.
Okay, so we budgeted for $1 million already, and we're going to transfer $5 million to it?
We had the opportunity to pay down $5 million on our $15 million ban. We took that to reduce our long-term debt expense, and so that's why you see that transfer request there.
All right. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Okay. Roll call?
Mr. Duray? Yes. Mr. Howard? Yes. Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart? Yes. Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher?
Yes.
Ms. Victoria Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Thank you, that concludes my items.
So I'll turn it over to the Assistant Superintendent, CIO, DPO.
That's still me. I know, we need to, we're trying to fill it, okay? So I have item 9.1 for consent and consideration this evening.
Can I have a motion? And a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Howard? Yes. Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher?
Yes.
Ms. Victoria Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Duray?
Yes.
That concludes my items for this evening.
Thank you. And I'll turn it over to the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction for Elementary.
Thank you. The Office of Elementary Curriculum and Instruction presents item 10.1 for your consent on consideration.
Can I have a motion? And a second. Discussion? Okay, roll call.
Ms. Politi,
Yes.
Mr. Stewart,
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello, Ms.
Yes.
Thomasina Bello.
Yes.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher. Ms. Victoria Boucher.
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli.
Yes.
Mr. Duray.
Yes.
Mr. Howard.
Yes.
Okay, and
That concludes my items. Thank you.
thank you. And now I'll turn it over to the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction Secondary, Ms. Soto.
Thank you, Madam President. The Curriculum and Instruction Division presents agenda items 11.1 and 11.2 for the board members' consideration on consent.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Discussion? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Stewart,
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello,
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello.
Yes.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher.
Yes.
Ms. Victoria Boucher.
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli.
Yes.
Mr. Duray.
Yes.
Mr. Howard. Ms. Politi.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam President. That concludes my items.
Thank you. And now 12 is no. Last but not least, we'll turn it over to the Assistant Superintendent of Exceptional Learners, Mr. Bear.
Thank you, Madam President. Exceptional Learner Division has item 12.1 for the board's consideration.
Can I have a motion? And a second?
Second.
A discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Christine Bello.
Yes.
Thomasina Bello.
Yes.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher.
Yes.
Ms. Victoria Boucher.
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli.
Yes.
Mr. Duray.
Yes.
Mr. Howard. Yes. Ms. Politi.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Thank you. That concludes my item.
Can I have a motion to adjourn? A roll call?
Ms. Thomasina Bello. Ms. Mackenzie Boucher.
Yes.
Ms. Victoria Boucher.
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli.
Yes.
Mr. Duray.
Yes.
Mr. Howard. Ms. Politi. Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Christine Bello.
Yes.